Good day, everyone. I'd like to talk about how you can work with your natal Chiron and also your Chiron return at age 50, age 50. We all have Chiron returns at age 50 when natal and transit Chiron are in the same degree. And Chiron returns are really not necessarily pleasant. And so what is Chiron? Chiron is a comet. Chiron is a energy about wounding and about healing. When we heal our wounds, we then can heal ourselves and heal others. We always know that the wound is there, but it doesn't mean we bring that wounding into our everyday life. We learn how to manage our wounding. Every person on this planet is going to be wounded on some level. That's just part of life. Life does not go flawless for us. And if it has for you, well, good. You're one of the few that's had a flawless life. Awesome. Chiron teaches us to go within and ask ourselves, who wounded us? When were we wounded? How did we get wounded? Why did we get wounded? When did we get wounded? Are we even aware we got wounded? And then Chiron asks us, how are we going to heal those wounds? How are we going to deal with the wounding? You know, people get hurt physically. They fall out on the cement. They fall when they're, riding their bikes. They fall when they're playing football and they can get really scarred up and banged up and hurt. And those wounds usually get addressed, right? Physically, we usually address a wound. When a professional football player breaks his ankle or pulls a severe sprain injury or whatever, has a concussion, those injuries get addressed, don't they? Don't those injuries, those wounds get addressed by a doctor, by a nurse, by someone in the medical field, by a healer? Our internal wounds are what can really eat us alive. They can really become these big, huge, toxic energies where we can just explode. When you think about it, many people on the planet go to see therapists, counselors, whatever you want to call them. They go to talk about the pain, the wounding they're carrying inside emotionally. That's doing their Chiron. When you can talk about your wounds, that's when you can heal them. That's the message. That's the teaching of Chiron, when we can deal with our wounding, when we can address it, when we can admit it, versus being denial. No, I don't have a wound. I've never been hurt before. Everything's been great in my relationships. Bullshit. Bullshit. Right? The key is to uncover whatever the wounding is and address it and be able to work with it and move it forward. Move it to the side. Don't bring it into every single job you go to. Don't bring it into every family meeting or every relationship you have, because if you do, what's that called? That's called baggage. Baggage. Have you ever met someone, they're always talking about their wounding? They're never working on their wounding because they're too busy talking about it. And so when you're always talking about your wounding, you're talking about the baggage you carry eventually. And most people, I think, want to enter into relationships with people who can discuss their wounding but not make the relationship about the wounding. Because when you enter into a new relationship, you owe it to that person to kind of keep that wounding in check. And so we all deal with our wounding differently. We all deal with healing differently. We all have different avenues of how we heal our wounds that we carry. The message is, the lesson is, the teaching of Chiron is, don't be in denial about the wounds you carry. Small, medium, large, grandiose. Because if you do, by the time you have your Chiron return at age 50, which is a very interesting age, all hell could break loose. If you haven't dealt with your wounding, and then you have your first Chiron return at age 50, what do you think that's going to be like? I've had people be devastated by the time their first Chiron return hits because they never really wanted to admit that they felt wounding. And one client has Chiron in her 7th house, and she has it in Pisces. Well, we're in the year 2022, and Chiron's in Aries now, but he was recently in Pisces. And let me tell you something. When she had her Chiron return in Pisces in the 7th house at age 50, what do you think happened? The guy she was madly in love with and had been seeing for 10 years, who never wanted a kid, he calls her on the phone and goes, guess what? I'm going to be a father. So my client, of course, is devastated and wounded, and she kind of went into a downward spiral. It was not an easy time for her to deal with that. And then she decided, that's really not about me. It's about him. And so she found ways to work with that because she felt very wounded and hurt by the fact that that happened. I had another client who had her Chiron return, age 50, approximately. And her parents became very ill. They weren't doing well. Others have gotten into car accidents. Others have had surgeries. Others have admitted, their deepest, darkest secrets that they had buried inside that they never wanted anybody to know about. At age 50, a lot of things surface. Age 50, when you're 50 and you're single, you want to go into relationships kind of keeping your baggage in check. Our wounds are what make us who we are today, and how we've addressed them and how we've talked about them and how we work to heal them is really, to me, the message of the Chiron energy we carry. So, enough about me spieling about Chiron. You want to locate your natal Chiron by house and by sign. Understand, what does it mean for you? Look for the signs as to what it means for you. And definitely look for the signs when you have your first Chiron return at age 50. Now, thank goodness, most of us are not going to be around for our second Chiron return. Because to be around for that, you'd have to be over 100 or around 100. Now, some of you will be, okay? But most people will not be around for the second Chiron return that hits at 100, age 100. So find your natal Chiron. If you were born with Chiron on your ascendant, on your descendant, on your midheaven or IC angles, or Chiron in the first house, Chiron in the 4th, Chiron in the 7th, Chiron in the 10th, or Chiron in Aries, Chiron in Cancer, Chiron in Libra, or Chiron in Capricorn, you carry heavy, important Chiron energies. And why is that? Because if you have Chiron on the ascendant, or Chiron in Aries, or Chiron in the first house, your wounding and your healing are about you. You. Look for signs that have to do with your personality, your physicality, your confidence, your competitiveness, your athleticism. This is a strong Chiron energy because we're talking about the self. If you have Chiron conjunct the IC in Cancer or the fourth house, we are talking about wounding and healing in the family unit. Were you wounded in your family? Is there wounding in your family? Is there ancestral wounding you haven't really dived into, but you know it's there, but you kind of just put it on a shelf? Oh, I'll deal with it when I deal with it. That's a strong wounding and healing energy that will happen, has to happen around the family unit. What is your Chiron story around family and nurturing and mothering and your home and your real estate and where you live and how you nurture as a mother? What's your story this lifetime? But if you have Chiron conjunct the descendant or Chiron in Libra, or Chiron in the seventh house, what's that story about? Do you find that you feel wounded in your relationships, in your marriages, in the partners that you're attracting? Do they want you to heal them? Are they wounded? Are you attracting partners that are wounded? Are you attracting partners that are addicted? Are you attracted to partners who are in denial about their wounding, but they're carrying a lot of pain and suffering, and they're looking to you to help heal them? Do your partners heal you? Do you heal your partners? What about Chiron in Capricorn? Chiron conjunct the midheaven. Chiron in the 10th. Are you a healer and someone who heals in the work that you do? Do you work around wounded people, wounded energies, wounding, wound care? Are you a doctor? Are you a nurse? Are you a psychologist? Are you a therapist? Are you an astrologer? Are you a coach? Are you a Reiki master? Are you a massage therapist? How do you heal? What do you work around? What kind of wounding do you work with in your career, in your reputation? Are you known as a healer? Are you a world-renowned healer? Carrying Chiron on the angles, in the first energies, the first house, the rising sign, Aries, or the IC, Cancer, or fourth house, or the seventh, Libra, or descendant angles, or the midheaven, Capricorn, and 10th house. These are strong energies of Capricorn. Strong stories to unfold around wounding and healing. And it's your story, not my story. Only you know. My advice for all of us when it comes to Chiron is to really look within yourself. This is really where self-awareness comes into play and you look within yourself and go, wow, where have I felt wounding in my life? Is life going the way I want it to? Yes or no? What's keeping you from moving forward? Sometimes what keeps us from moving forward is our wounding. And sometimes we're not even aware of the wounding we carry. Have you ever been out in the world and you saw someone go just explode on everybody? You're just like, what the hell? Whenever I see that, I realize that person on some level is wounded and carrying some anger or sadness that they have not been able to address. And that's why it's important to work on your own wounding story, to heal it. Because if you don't, you could be that person exploding on everybody. Age 50 is when you will have your Chiron return. Age 50. Don't wait until you turn age 50 to understand your wounding and your healing story. Now, let's talk about Chiron in the second house or Taurus house. What's the wounding and healing around money and material wealth and sensuality and your voice, singing? What about if you have Chiron in Gemini or the third house? The story is around communications. The story is around teaching and writing and speaking and listening and short trips and siblings. What if you have Chiron in Leo or the fifth house? This is an energy of the spotlight. This is the energy of the entertainment industry. This is where camera, lights, action. Notice me. I'm glamorous. I'm sexy, and I know it. I have beautiful hair. I have the most beautiful mane of hair. I'm in the movies. I desire to be in the movies. Chiron in Leo or the fifth. What's the wounding and healing story for you? Do you feel wounded? Do you want to heal people by being in the spotlight? Do you want to heal your wounds by being an actor or actress? Is that how you work on your own wounding? What about Chiron in Virgo or the sixth house? We're working on a healing and wounding story around your work, around a schedule, around pets, around your pets, around organization, around cleanliness, around being of service. Do you feel healed when you're of service to others? Do you feel healed when you help out with pets, when you have your own pets? Are you healing the pets that have been wounded in the world? What's the wounding and healing story for you? This is around work and a routine and being of service and your health. And your health, are you a healer? What's the Chiron story when it's in Scorpio or the eighth house? This is a story of healing and wounding around power and transformation and endings and beginnings. This is about psychotherapy. This is about secrets. Are there a lot of secrets that you feel wounded about? Are those secrets ready to come forward? Are you going to keep them a secret? What are you going to do? Do you feel you can talk about your secrets and your wounding? Have you wounded people? Have you wounded people? You feel bad about the wounding and you're ready to talk about it. Eighth house. Have you seen devastation? Have you seen death and not been able to express it? Chiron in the eighth or Scorpio. What about Chiron in the ninth or Sag? You have wounding and healing in an international way, in teaching, in becoming a PhD or a doctor or a lawyer, or when you go back to school or international travel, international languages. When you travel, do you feel you can heal your wounds? Do you have to get away when you feel wounded? Do you have to take a trip out of the country? What is the wounding? What does Chiron mean for you in the 9th or Sagittarius? What about the 11th house? Chiron in Aquarius or the 11th. Do you feel wounded in the groups? Do you feel wounded in your friendships? Do you feel wounded on the internet, social media? Do you feel like you can heal people through humanitarian causes, making the world a better place? Is that what you're about because you were wounded? And now you know that if you were wounded and you can heal your wounds, you can help heal the world, heal their wounds. 11th house. New ways to heal the world. What about Chiron in the 12th or Pisces? Well, this is a lot of wounding and a lot of healing that needs to happen. There could be a lot of sadness, a lot of crying in the 12th. Chiron, Pisces in the 12th. A lot of spirituality, a lot of escapism. There could have been a lot of drinking, a lot of addiction, a lot of denial. I'm not going to deal with the pain, so I'm going to just escape through drugs and alcohol. Chiron in Pisces, Chiron in the 12th. Easy to escape through substances, through turning off my phone, through not answering my phone, not paying my bills, not dealing with the world. I don't want to deal with reality because it's too painful for me. I can't stand how mean people are. I can't be around it. I'm too sensitive. What's your Chiron story? Pisces in 12th house, Chirons. So I'm going to close this out and say, look at your Chiron story. Only you know what it is. Only you know. This video is only meant to be a guide to ignite you into the energy of your Chiron, to get acquainted with it, to not sweep it under the rug, to know that when you look at your wounding, you look at your Chiron story and bring it to the surface. It's when you can move forward. It's when you can address life, when you can get back on your path and keep going. Because we will all have some kind of wounding or pain this lifetime that we have to deal with. Some of us have more than others. Some of us are better at dealing with pain and wounding than others. But we have to deal with our wounding in order to heal it. Age 50, Chiron return. Don't wait until age 50 to know your Chiron story. If you were born in 1972, we're in the year 2022 now, you're having a Chiron return. In 2023, if you were born in 1973, you're going to have a Chiron return. Born in 1974, in the year 2024, you're having your Chiron return. Born in 1975, in the year 2025, you're going to probably be having a Chiron return. Only you will know. You need to pull your chart and look exactly when you're having it. I wish you all the best. Enjoy.